What's up, y'all? It's your girl CJ. Welcome back to another video. You know, it's Sunday, Storytime Sundays. So we're going to be watching another hometown tragedy. This one is called The Serial on F Street. Not sure what it's about, but you know, I love a good serial killer documentary. So let's get right into it, why don't we? If you hear something outside, it's the wind. This wind in New York right now, we have wind advisories. It is atrocious right now. Anyways, let's get right into it.
It's one of the most sensational stories of the year.
And it was on the air all day.
From Pasadena to Pensacola, there's not a newspaper that hasn't run headlines about the Sacramento murder case.
They're calling it the Nightmare on F Street.
There was something really wrong.
This is the kind of stuff that you would see in a movie or maybe read in a book.
It's a safe and comfortable place for people to live, but as the investigators are exhuming body after body, they begin to think we have a serial murderer on our hands.
Sacramento is a government town, but it's surrounded by a lot of agriculture. We're at the confluence of the Sacramento River and the American River. Sacramento in the 1980s, it was just kind of considered sort of a sleepy place. No major league sports, no huge tourist attractions.
My mother, Judy Moise, worked downtown and she did social work. She enjoyed it. She could actually help and make a difference. She got many people off the street. She would walk on the streets, find people, kind of talk to them and get to know them, and then figure out what their needs were. And if she could get them housing.
Mom.
Bert Montoya was mentally ill like my brother. She had a lot of compassion because of that. Didn't want people like that on the street. I think that's why she had a special connection to Bert. He also was a very happy, very kind, very gentle person. She had a special place in her heart for him, especially, and worked with him for a long time. She wanted to get him off the street, which she was able to do.
So Dorothea Puente ran a boarding house in Sacramento, and by all reports, it was a really lovely house. She was a friendly lady. They perceived her as grandmotherly.
Bert didn't have to be on the street anymore. Dorothea got his psoriasis cleared up, got him nice haircuts, got him new clothes.
Social workers were very pleased with the atmosphere and the interactions that she was providing for Bert. She was really helping him with his social skills.
My mother checked on Bert, and then one day he wasn't there, and she was told he went with someone to Mexico. And that was just like, what are you talking about? Then she started worrying with that. What is he doing in Mexico? We've got to get him back, you know. Nothing was making sense about his whereabouts. And she just started gaining more and more fear about the whole thing, and it became evident there was something really wrong.
November 11th, 1988, we get a call in the newsroom saying, hey, police are over here and we think they've dug up a body in a house on F Street and you guys might want to get over here because the cops are here and the coroner's here. What got the police's attention was that the ground around there, we subsequently learned, had been recently disturbed and that it wasn't a very deep grave. The initial investigator thought he was digging around tree roots until he recovered what turned out to be a human bone.
When authorities discovered a body in the boarding house backyard, they realized that this victim was too small to be Bert.
My mother felt relief. I think she hoped she'd find, you know, Bert alive, that something would come up and Bert would be okay.
That's me right there.
Boy, it was talk of the town. People would say, you're at Channel 3, right? You were there, you got that shot. I'm a photographer, I'm doing my job. You know, that's what we do, getting that shot.
But, I mean, look at all the cameras lined up. Yeah, we were pinned to that place for weeks. There's John McCauley.
Who would be strong enough to take a victim's body, bury them in the backyard? I mean, that involves carrying the victim, placing the victim's remains in the holes, covering them up. John McCauley was considered a suspect because he was a handyman. He did minor repairs and whatnot around the boarding house.
So everybody thought that he had a big thing to do with it. He wouldn't come out of his house. He wouldn't. Nobody could get him.
On November 12th, 1988, John McCauley was arrested.
Can we get your name, please, sir?
No. Oh man, he's got to be involved in this whole thing.
Well, shit, they're treating him like a suspect.
As you're reporting
I
the
wouldn't
story,
answer to
you're also
reporters
trying
either.
in your own head, try to make some sense of it to kind of understand the narrative of where this is going.
The driveway was the one open area that you could actually see down the path. Once they dug into the yard, they came out and they realized around the back, let's check out this concrete. And they started digging up concrete in the driveway.
We're going to start breaking out the cement that you see here in the front. We'll start taking that out pretty quick. We still have a lot to do in the back.
They looked under a shed that was kind of kitty corner to the driveway. So we all kind of placed ourselves in that driveway, looking straight down, and sure enough, we see stuff.
It appears that we may have found another body under the cement, and we are working on that right now.
It was looking when they were digging that there was more graves.
It became apparent that they were going to be digging in multiple locations at this house. And that's when it really turned into to something that the likes of which we'd never really seen. This is the kind of stuff that you would see in a movie or maybe read in a book.
Oh my goodness, we have a multiple murder situation on our hands.
Hundreds of people show up to watch. The media turnout is overwhelming. Hour by hour, the digging produces more bodies.
Just the more you found, the worse effect it had on you. It had on me.
Each of the victims had been buried and the top of their graves camouflaged by bushes.
I remember my mom being like, it was really hard to believe that there were actually shallow graves in that whole yard in Sacramento. And so I think the thing just kept getting bigger and more shocking.
On Sunday, digging resumes, and not one, but 2 bodies are discovered.
As I said, we found 7 bodies now, and we won't stop until we've dug up every square inch of this yard.
Authorities say they may have an idea who the 7 victims might be, but they don't have positive identifications, and they have not performed an autopsy to determine how the victims died.
In fact, the bodies haven't even been unwrapped at the coroner's office. They're still wrapped in their mummy-like covering.
On Wednesday, November 16th, John McCauley was released. Authorities apparently just didn't have enough evidence to keep him, to prove that he was culpable in the crimes.
You didn't do it.
John, there's been a few people around that I wouldn't mind, but I didn't know.
Why would he say that?
I'm not a violent person.
A social worker from Volunteers of America had been looking for 51-year-old Bert Montoya.
The last time I seen Bert was in August. The last time I seen Dorothea for about 3 months. And when I came back again in October, I came over to see Dorothea, and the only person I saw was John. So he was sitting on the porch the day I came by. And I didn't see nobody else there.
Yesterday, the coroner said none of the 7 bodies appears to match the description of Montoya, but today there was new information.
The latest findings by the anthropologist, he estimated the 5th victim as being 5 feet 8 to 5 feet 9 inches in height. That does match the description of Montoya.
For my mom, I think everything became very real for her, what had happened to him, and she was just devastated.
It's also a nightmare for this woman, a social worker who had referred clients to the house.
I placed up to 13 people in the home.
Some of the 13 are among the victims.
Lord.
The attention has zeroed in on a victim found by a fisherman nearly 3 years ago.
Years before, a wooden box washed up on shore of the Sacramento River. It was about 6 feet long, maybe about 2 feet wide. Inside the box were human remains. Investigators were finally able to determine the identity of the victim inside the box. It was Everson Gilmuth.
And neighbor Will McIntyre thinks he knows who he was.
The police were knocking on my door in December '85 asking about this guy Gil that had disappeared, and they said they were also looking for his red pickup truck and a silver trailer that he pulled behind it.
They found out that his truck was recently sold.
Through a vehicle registration search, a reopened investigation led to Ismael Flores, a handyman.
Authorities visit this second handyman and ask, hey, why are you in possession of this truck?
The 46-year-old Flores is admitted to police that in December 1985, he built a 6-foot-long, 2-foot-wide, 2-foot-deep box for Dorothea Puente.
He said, well, Dorothea Puente hired me to make a pine box for her, and after a while, she asked me to move this box in this truck of hers to a storage facility, and then she changed her mind and said, hey, you know what? Let's just discard this box along the Sacramento River. He said he had no idea what was in the box.
So you just did it for her?
Authorities started to hone in on Dorothea as a suspect, as a murder suspect.
No one could believe Dorothea Montalvo, also known as Dorothea Montalvo Puente, could have carried it out.
Dorothea presented herself as a virtuous grandma who was a caregiver devoted to ensuring the well-being of people that she thought no one else took care of well or cared about.
She got a check.
Grandmas don't kill, do they? When authorities started to dig into Dorothea Puente's past, they found that she had a criminal record.
6 years ago, she was convicted and sent to prison for putting knockout pills in the drinks of several patrons of the Zebra Club. She then robbed at least one of them.
Authorities realized that Dorothea Puente is a con artist.
The reason I'm shocked is because she was so nice to me, I was so nice to her, and yet, you know, look what's happening. I mean, who ain't shocked? I mean, I knew this lady. I thought I did.
The word on the street is that she drugged her victims. Montalvo got prescriptions filled at this drugstore every other day.
He was a real clean type of person, grandmotherly type, and just real sociable and friendly.
Not the type that you would think would hurt anyone.
Not at all.
I hope she's punished dearly for it. And a friend of mine was living here at this residence, Brenda Trujillo, and I haven't seen her in a few months, and I just hope to God that she wasn't one of the victims.
John Sharp, he's a former tenant who says Montalvo told him to lie to police if they asked questions, especially about missing people, like Ben Fink.
Ben had been a tenant there, and he'd get quite drunk. And his room was next to mine, and he'd been drunk over a weekend and never come out of his room after he got drunk. And Dorothea came down and said she was going to take him upstairs and sober him up and get him feeling better. Well, that's the last time anybody ever saw Ben.
This is Robert Fink. Yes, did you find anything out?
He says his brother would have no reason to leave town.
He said, you know, you're the only brother I got. You're the only one that I can turn to anymore. And he wasn't about to leave.
You know, my girlfriend lived right across the street from Dorothea. They said they smelled bad smells there. They said they'd complained multiple times.
There were always a lot of flies around her house, but now they seem kind of spooky, you know, now that this is going on.
Dorothea had a neighbor named Will McIntyre. Will McIntyre was a Vietnam veteran, and he said, I know the smell of death.
We called the health department. They came out, talked to her, but that time she'd been pouring fish emulsion on her garden in the back, and they thought that might be part of it. And then she tried to tell them that she thought the people in the building at 612 15th Street had a dead body back there and been taking it out in pieces.
She told others that she had rats in her backyard, and that's what smelled. But it turned out to be something far more sinister.
She was very convincing to the police. They didn't think that she could be doing this.
We're kind of thinking...
And back then, you could really get away with some shit. Like, they don't have the technology that they have nowadays. You can't even, like, give somebody a dirty stare and it gets caught on surveillance camera. Now you're a suspect. Like, it's just so... It's a crazy time. Like, it's bittersweet. Like, it's a blessing but a curse. But These people back in 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, 50s, you hear all about them serial killers doing that because you know how many serial killers there are that just never got caught? That link back to this era. I don't know when technology and like forensics became more like advanced, but definitely in my generation. So it's crazy. It's crazy what a lot of people got away with back then.
Why is she sort of still wandering around? Why is she still there near the crime scene and so forth? And then we get a call to the newsroom from Mike Boyd saying, the old girl is gone.
1 second, my DoorDash is here.
What do you mean she's gone? The old girl is gone.
Naturally, anytime you have a killer on the loose, your fear is that that person will kill again.
Authorities started to hone in on Dorothea as a murder suspect.
The cab driver says he picked up Puente.
She was dressed very well. She was a very comely woman for her age. She had a demeanor that was sophisticated and seemed like just a real nice person.
Police believe Montalvo flew to Las Vegas to meet a nephew, but now Las Vegas police can't find either one of them.
We certainly knew it was a huge story, the mystery about where she had disappeared to. She'd managed to elude law enforcement for days.
On November 16th, Puente is captured in Los Angeles.
Suddenly she shows up in Southern California.
We couldn't get out of town because there's only one flight out of town during the week at 10 o'clock was an American Airlines flight.
And Mike, being Mike, said, well, we're not waiting for a flight. We're going to get our own airplane. We're going to go down there ahead of all of that.
I just want to look up something because it was she doing this? You know how she had a boarding house and stuff. I wonder if the government, I know they do that nowadays. I wonder if she was getting checks from the government or if she was they're homeless people. So obviously she could write fake checks if she was known for being a scammer and stuff. Yeah, she ran a boarding house in Sacramento, California, obviously, and murdered various elderly and mentally disabled boarders before cashing their Social Security checks. Yeah, I told you she was doing it for the checks. Crazy.
We need to be there first.
It's like Casablanca. It's foggy, Mike's wearing a trench coat.
So that's how it ended up, with Mike Boyd and a photographer and a Sacramento police detective. Got on this chartered jet in the wee hours of the morning and got down to Southern California well ahead of our morning newscasts. To somewhat everyone's surprise, there was a police car there, LAPD, and in the back seat was Dorothea Puente. And the police said, here she is.
This is where we make the transfer. It's really loud in there, too. She's in the middle, and Mike is sitting opposite her. In a Learjet, there's about, 6 feet distance, and I'm in the back, headphones on, gave him my shotgun mic, and I said, Mike, what do we do? What do you just roll on everything?
I used to be a very good person at one time.
It's almost like she's already beginning to defend herself in a courtroom.
And then she blurts out, I didn't kill anybody.
I told you that. I have not killed anyone. The checks I cashed, yes.
I just cashed your checks. I'm in my headphones go, oh, wow.
Mr. Montalvo, what can you tell us about the murders? Were you involved in any way?
The news was big.
Dorothea!
You're gonna go with us?
Dorothea, did you have anything to do with that?
Johnny?
Can you talk to us about what happened in your house?
Where's Bert Montoya?
Well, I'm glad she has been caught. I hope this is the last that she will do.
She's mad
People
cute.
came in from all over the place to watch that trial. The place was packed. You had to get numbered to get in that courthouse.
My mother had to go to the trial. It was really hard on her.
The 7 victims, they all had the same thing in their system.
Ruth Monroe, whose body contained the equivalent of 150 or more codeine and Tylenol tablets.
We don't think of a grandma as somebody who could poison people. That's why she got away with it for so long.
The most important thing, if you follow the money, you find Dorothea Puente.
Dozens of fixed income checks were mailed to F Street, 24 checks at one time for reimbursements and for renters' relief in a single year.
She would forge her name and take their money even after they died.
She liked people that didn't have families. She didn't want people checking up. And I do not think she ever thought my mom was as invested in Bert as she was, because Dorothea planned on killing him.
The 8 men and 4 women who make up the Puente jury are given a 4-day weekend. The jury had deliberated the 9 murder counts for more than 50 hours over 10 days. Still no verdict.
We, the jury, in the above entitled cause, find the defendant, Dorothea Montalvo Puente, guilty of the crime of murder in the second degree.
At the end of it, the jury only convicted her on 3 of the counts.
We, the jury, in the above entitled cause, find the defendant, Dorothea Montalvo Puente, guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree, of Dorothy Miller, guilty of the crime of murder in the second degree, of Leona Carpenter, guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree, of Benjamin Fink.
Even the jury, with all the evidence put in front of them, still could not find a unanimous verdict on 6 other counts. Could these have been accidental overdoses? Could these have been natural causes? Maybe not so much.
I think it's really important that we remember the victims. Ruth Monroe, Everson Gilmuth, James Gallup, Vera Martin, Alvaro Montoya, Betty Mae Palmer.
They were human beings. They had the right to live.
The same jury will consider her punishment for multiple murders. There are only 2 choices: life without the possibility of parole, or death.
She ended up with life without the possibility of parole.
Female serial killers hide in plain sight because it's the person we never think it's going to be. It's the mother, it's the grandmother, it's the nurse. It's somebody that we think is kind and caring and nurturing, yet behind the scenes they are a notorious poisoner.
Yeah, y'all don't know if I'm a serial killer or not. No, I'm playing. Oh my God, fucking digital footprints are gonna come back to this video. I am just kidding.
In front of the boarding house itself, neighbors felt that justice had been served.
She's going to be behind prison walls. She might die there, who knows, but she deserves what she got.
Seniors in Sacramento are also advocating a change in the system to try to prevent what happened at this boarding house on F Street from happening again.
How easily could someone legally become a payee on someone else's federal check? Questions, advocates say, that should not have taken the deaths of 7 people before they were asked.
It's been really hard on my mom her entire life. Very hard burden to carry. She was trying to help someone in the best way she knew how, and given this gift of getting off of the street. And she's had to live with that he got murdered.
Judy Moy says if it was not for her persistence on locating Bert, authorities might never have detected that Dorothea Puente was committing these crimes.
Perhaps you've wondered, what's happened to Dorothea Puente's former F Street boarding house?
The crowds, the cameras are gone. And although this will never be just another Midtown home, for those who live there today, it is a piece of Sacramento history.
That's insane. Obviously, she has passed away because she was fucking old as shit in the 80s. I just wanted to see when she passed away. She died March 27, 2011, at the age of 82 at the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla, California. It's crazy that she only got convicted of 3 when there was a total, well, that we know about, that the police know about, 9 victims. But you have to stop and wonder if it was only 9, because like she wasn't having people she wasn't just burying them in the backyard. She made that one guy make a fucking casket for another victim and put it in the river. Like, you have to wonder if she's done that with multiple people and just never got caught for that. So I'm not gonna lie, this fucking grandma is gangster as fuck. I'm telling you, the root of all evil really is money. People doing this to cash a check. Never do that nowadays in today's society. You will get caught so quick. Lord. Anyways, y'all, thank you for supporting me. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And everybody have a wonderful week next week. Take care. Eat your fruit, eat your vegetables, go out in the sun, drink some OJ, will ya? All right, bye. Love y'all. Mwah.